Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Steelers Now, Steelers Night Shift. I am your host, Joe Morrison, and today I'm joined again by our esteemed editor, Mr. Alan Saunders. Steelers stole a win, depending on who you ask, this past Sunday. If you ask Steeler fan, all the calls were great. If you ask Raven fan, all the calls were not. It's been a hot topic this week, but Mr. Saunders, how is your week going? And what are your thoughts about the catch, no catch?
I think the NFL is a real problem with the rule. I think what looks obvious to be a catch is frequently not a catch and vice versa, and that's bad. I think they probably correctly applied the rule in the Isaiah Likely play, at least as the way it's written right now or the way it's being interpreted right now. I don't think they did in the Aaron Rodgers call, which I thought was worse. I've never felt like he had possession of the football. But yeah, it's far too complicated and unnecessarily. Just make them all catches. If it's close, call it a catch. Who cares? We'll have more fumbles. Ooh, oh well. Like, it'll be fun.
No, certainly. Now I think the Rodgers call, at least it's a likely call. You can say by the book, sure, but to me, I do admit it's a catch, just like the Jesse James one was a catch, just like Calvin Johnson's was a catch. So
Yes, Brian.
Yep, they're all catches, but it is what it is. But hey, anything to get folks all talking. Mr. Omar Con Artist, our first comment of the night, he's giving me a shout out for the tie. Alan, did you not get the memo for a tie? Is what Mr. Conard is asking.
I did not, and I don't. I'm looking around. I don't know if I have one handy. We'll see what we can do, maybe.
Yep. For everyone wondering why I'm wearing a tie, I was at an event for my pre-graduation toast and got a nice little honor and whatnot. It was very fun. Late tonight, but we ended up getting here on time. Always fun to do these little things. Schoolhouse Rock has our first question that's not tie related. He says, how do you feel about JPJ's penalties? Feels like he's being targeted. And he read my mind because, first of all, the calls on, I feel like he is becoming kind of an easy target of, and I think it comes with the territory being grabby. And some of them are legit, but I feel like a lot of them are very ticky-tacky. And if it was a nice established veteran, someone like maybe your Sauce Gardner or someone like that, they wouldn't probably get that kind of call. What are your thoughts, Alan?
I thought the first call against Porter was totally bogus. When was the last time you saw a 3-yard pass interference penalty, first of all? But I just thought it was awful. I do think he is being called to his reputation and not the way he's been playing this year, which has been much cleaner. So the second one was legit. I thought he bumped him way too far down the field. But I also think it's like an overrate. He has 6 penalties this year. Like, it's not been a big deal. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now. Him and Pierre are lights out together. It's every time he gets a penalty called, I get like 9 mentions. He stinks, bust of a draft pick. I'm just like, what are you guys talking about? This guy's playing awesome. Like, even if Joey gets penalized, let's say, okay, he's 6 so far. Let's say he finishes with 8. If what he's doing so far this year continues and he gets 8 DPIs a year, that's a top 15 cornerback. Take it 100% of the time and you run with it. Like, there's nothing to complain about with the play of Joey Porter right now.
And I think what's also kind of irritating in those mentions that you point out is they all say the same thing too. He ain't his daddy. He ain't his daddy.
He is like that. He is not. That's true. Joey Porter Sr. going into the Hall of Honor this weekend, which should be fun. PC's always a good time. But he's very much not his father, which is also why I think sort of his dad was a hothead. He took a lot of penalties that he just went out there and took. Like he
got ejected one time before a game,
and gave James Harrison his start in the NFL as a result. Yeah, I mean, that's not Joey at all. He's not that, he doesn't have that personality that his father had. So he really doesn't earn, the junior on his back is doing him no favors when it comes to his reputation with the officials.
I think it's funny. Like he may not be a hothead like his dad, but he has a little trash talk game. I think he gets that from his dad.
Oh, I don't
Well,
think you can be a cornerback in the NFL and not talk trash.
oh,
That
certainly.
that comes with the job.
Oh yeah, mental warfare. So, Richard Hunt chiming in. He says, "Evening, fellas. I called the deep ball on the first play last week. So this week, can we get a pick six on a tip ball from Tua?" And it's going to be. I'm writing about this right now, and I'll have it ready for the morning. It's going to be cold, cold, cold. Much like many of the previous Dolphins at Steelers matchups, but I don't know. How are you feeling about those odds this week, Mr. Saunders?
I think if the Dolphins are throwing on the first play, they're probably done. They've been running the ball really well. Achan's been their best player the last few weeks. The Steelers have given up, I don't know, something like 700 million rushing yards over the last 2 weeks. I would be making them stop the run multiple times before I even thought about calling a pass.
Yeah. And I will say, looking back at the Ravens game, I mean, even if you take the run away, it's still 155 yards rushing, but a quarter of that came on of the 210 yards came on that long run by Mr. Mitchell when he came in for Mr. Pierre, and there was a missed tackle. But also, when I kind of looked back at it, my knee jerk reaction was missed tackle. You can't have that. I went back and looked down, like, he might have got held there, but you know, you can't get all the calls right. But no, I think Mr. A Chain, they're going to have to kind of take on that Indianapolis Colts kind of game plan and really force Tua to win the game with his arm. And I don't know, Richard, maybe we'll see a pick six. We came close in the Colts game with Peyton Wilson on his interception. So, all right, Mr. Ryan, he has got a question. He says, "What do you think about the play of Alex Highsmith, James Pierre, DK Metcalf? They all look good Sunday." And he also asks, "What do you think of the play of Dylan Cook in relief of Andres Pete and also in relief of Calvin Anderson, who is on IR, and in relief of Roger Jones, who is on IR?"
Anytime you're playing the fourth guy, if it just goes okay, that's great. And I thought it did more than okay. I thought he looked really good in pass protection. Run blocking was not quite as good, but I thought it looked solid. I've always thought that Dylan Cook could play. I'm excited for him and for them that they finally got an opportunity to put him in there. And I think it went really well. James Pierre, man, one of the best stories in the league this year, in my opinion, that's not being talked about enough nationally in terms of a guy who came out of friggin' nowhere to not just be a starter, but he's playing like one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL these last few weeks. Talked to Mike Tomlin about that on Tuesday, hoping to do a bigger story on Pierre this week for the site. And then Alex Highsmith, he's been banged up a lot this year, but he's a really good player, man. I don't think anyone should be surprised when he takes a game over. That's something he's been doing for a while now.
Do you like his one-handed snag that he had on Sunday, Mr. Pierre? I thought that made me get out of my seat on Sunday. Charlie was like, "Well, what happened?" I'm like, "He just picked it off." Just one-handed.
Terrible pass by Lamar.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
It was a good catch for sure. If you recall, Pierre's dropped punt, fake punt last year in Washington. The hands look a little better this time around. We'll see. Maybe he did some work on this.
Absolutely. And he had a near game clinching pick in Ireland. So he got one that really kept momentum going for him this week. So happy to see that. Mr. Oman Khan Artist has a follow-up question, but this time he wants to talk a little quarterbacks. He said, "We did notice the subtle shot at Beck on the drive, Alan. And Mr. Saunders, I'll let you add some color to that and enlighten me."
Oh, I just kind of dismissed him as a prospect at this point, which yeah, he's not doesn't have the arm strength to get it done. It's what makes first round players. And ever since that elbow injury, he just don't have it.
No, certainly. And I think we kind of talked about this last week, actually. You kind of talked about guys like Jake Delhomme and Big Ben when they had those elbow surgeries. Just it's hit or miss. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, there's always a chance that he could, change up his throwing motion and maybe do something there. But yeah, I think as far as the first round board goes, my early hype on him has cooled off, and we're on to someone else. John on Facebook here has a comment. He says he has always been pretty handsy, so they watch him like a hawk. And yeah, I think that's why they're targeting him, because he don't get away with anything compared to other corners for sure. Talking about Joey Porter Jr. No, I think it's getting to that point, but it's not as bad as it was last year. And even last year, I think there were some ticky-tacky calls throughout the year.
Yeah, pretty much same stuff we just brought up.
Yep. And Mel's chiming in. They say, "What's good, everybody? We have gotten off the emotional roller coaster yet. How many wins do we need to rest our starters and start Howard in the Ravens game?" Man, everybody loves talking about Will Howard. And don't get me wrong, like I had some fun with it after the draft and said, "Oh, QB1, that's just me." But I think there's a lot of or there's a good fan base for Howard in the draft. But I do kind of have an outline on how that could look. But Mr. Saunders, I'm curious to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can get to that point, they will. They got to beat Miami and beat Cleveland for sure, and then they need Baltimore to lose a couple games. Technically, they can actually clinch next week if they beat the Dolphins and the Lions, and the Ravens lose to the Bengals, and then Drake May and the New England Patriots, which has now been flexed to Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
So the Steelers could win the division from the airplane home from Detroit on the 21st, possibly. They could also, if that, you just take one of those things away from happening, could win it on the field in Cleveland, which would probably feel pretty good.
And yes, I think, to Alan's point, that's what's definitely got to happen. Ravens got to lose 2 games. Steelers got to win 2 games before that last week of the season. I do think, from a standpoint, if they take care of business against the Dolphins and Browns, that, all those, betting apps that put the little percentages out every single day, it feels like you're going to see it increase quite a bit. But I think, I understand the Steelers got to play the Ravens again. They got to play the Lions, and going that easy. If you had to ask me which coach I'd rather be right now, I would much rather be Mike Tomlin than John Harbaugh, because you got to imagine Harbaugh is feeling the heat, and by all accounts, they have a very tough schedule. They got to go to Green Bay, got to play Cincinnati, play Pittsburgh, and then play New England.
I mean, look, the Steelers don't have a player like Lamar Jackson. I didn't say a quarterback, a player like Lamar Jackson. The Ravens are 5-5 in games where Lamar Jackson starts. That's an absurd statistic. Like that is just, like, I know he's been hurt, and you can excuse a lot when your star quarterback's out. But to be 5-5 when you have Lamar Jackson, was one of the 5 best players of the last decade. That's really something. That's the kind of thing that ought to get a coach fired. Not going, what are they, 7-6 with 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers and Calvin Austin, wide receiver 2. Like a whole different story about how bad the Ravens have been, considering the talent they have. And that defense, they got good players on the defense too. I mean, I think they're thin up front after Matabuike's injury, but I mean, you barely noticed Kyle Hamilton in that game. Malachi Starks was the first round pick. He's not having much impact. Like, it's a mess in Baltimore.
No, and going into the season, everyone was, giving the Ravens their flowers for a single snap count. They called it the best roster.
Yeah,
they said they had the best
a legitimate
situation.
Super Bowl favorite, and they're going to probably miss the playoffs. And it's, yes, that's happened to a couple of, like, the Chiefs are in that same boat, but the Chiefs have just won a bunch. The Ravens haven't done anything with this group. I have to agree. I actually think I don't think they will fire John Harbaugh, but I'm leaning towards they should at least be thinking about it.
Yeah. And keep in mind too, like 7 years ago, they came very close to firing him when they were on the slump. Then he went to Lamar Jackson. Things turned around, and he's been fortunate ever since. I like this comment here because it's become a little bit of a recurring one. The Raisins are losing the next two. This kind of came about a few weeks ago. Let's see, they got the Bengals, then they're at Cincinnati this time too, mind you. Then they're hosting New England, then they're at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh. So if they lost the next two, I mean, I can only imagine what Get Up and all those ESPN shows are going to start chirping.
Yeah, I mean, and I like if the Bengals play as well as they did against the Bills, against the Ravens, they will win that game. I don't know if they will. They're a very flawed team as well. Trey Hendrickson is out. T. Higgins apparently practiced today. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I mean, if the Bengals have another performance like they did last week, they'll beat the Ravens. The Ravens are just not playing very well.
Yep. So we will see what happens there, Mr. Major Headache. Not have much of a headache this time, by the way. Appreciate you coming back and joining us. Anthony from Facebook, he's saying, Alan, be sure to give props to Zachary for his prediction on Friday that the Steelers would have 2 receptions over 20 air yards. Way to go, Zachary. And
might be the earliest ever correct bold prediction. He had it by like the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, because he had one to DK Metcalf first play of the game, and heck, he had a second one to DK Metcalf later in the game too. So that was a good call by Mr.
Same topic here. Richard Hunt wants to know if we see more downfield shots against the Dolphins or to revert back to how the offense was prior to the Ravens. I don't expect the Dolphins to come out and dare the Steelers to throw the ball. The Dolphins run a lot of cover too. So I do not expect them to come out throwing a bunch of deep balls against 2 high safeties. I think they'll have to do something different. We'll see. You can run the ball against the Dolphins, 4.8 yards per carry against. This is going to be a very different assignment this week. Also, if it's 17 degrees and snowing, I don't think anybody really wants to throw deep balls in those conditions. Sometimes you have to, but definitely not what you're thinking you're going to try going in.
He's at 17 degrees. You know what kickoff was when the last time these two teams met?
I bet you do.
It was 17 degrees on the dot. Very cold day. I remember that. That was Ben had that whole ski mask thing going on. And then Ryan Shazier was shirtless in the pregame. Major Headache says no injury updates today. They did not practice today, if I'm not mistaken, because they don't start till tomorrow.
No updates.
All right. And Mr. Mike, he asked, if we sign Jalen Daniels as an undrafted free agent for camp, I'm about to make all the Will Howard truthers look like logicians with the nonsense I'm going to pull online. Jalen Daniels, like, who's he referring to?
Kansas quarterback.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I don't know why I was thinking of, I thought he was like insinuating the Washington Commanders guy. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, that's Jalen Daniels.
Jalen Daniels is an interesting guy. I don't know if I see that happening. I guess he could be an undrafted guy. Sure, why not? I think if you want, I mean, obviously, it seems like you have a specific agenda here, but if you want someone like that who's like down the board, who's like a little bit fun, that might be interesting, and I actually just saw that he accepted a Senior Bowl invite. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor is someone that I think is like a little bit, I don't know. He's not like a prospect that really anybody's talking about, but there's some fun stuff there.
Yeah, I watched him torch my Auburn Tigers week 1, and maybe I should have gotten the hint that secondary wasn't very good before I got my hopes up for the year. But no, yeah, he can ball. But then again, Auburn makes a lot of quarterbacks look good. He got Sean Clifford drafted a few years ago, so. Major Headache, he says Finn Scare looks like the Finns, the Dolphins scare him. We get some rush yards on him. But Tua is fixing to get concussion number 3. 3 like this year or 3 in his career?
He's had more than 2, hasn't he?
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess officially maybe 2. But there's that one game, a few years ago.
He had 2 in one game.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. That was the whole the concussion spotter got fired because they let him go back in, and then he got hit again. Yeah, I mean, I'm not rooting for anybody to get a concussion, but I also don't want to have to cover it. So really, speaking of things I don't want to cover, what players will definitely be gone
at
the end of this season? Man, what a question. Why are we going here? There's like a whole playoff run to go yet.
I guess contract wise,
I don't know that there's anybody who's definitely going to be gone next year. There are some players.
I'll say this. Maybe Jonnu Smith.
He's under contract though. What are they going to do? Just cut him and take? It's like a $3 million dead cap hit. I mean,
they could trade him to
maybe if they could trade. I wouldn't say definitely. I would be surprised if Isaac Seumalo was back.
I could probably get the bag.
That's one. I would be surprised if he's back.
I wouldn't be surprised if James Pierre maybe in the offseason.
Oh, I don't know. I'd be trying to re-sign him, man. He's been.
Oh no, I don't.
Kyle Duggar probably will not be back because they're going to assume that Deshaun Elliott will return to that role after he gets healthy. Now, not too many that I'm real confident in saying aren't coming back. That's for sure.
Mel has a interesting question here. For those who didn't know, Mr. Phillip Rivers, that is the Phillip Rivers who was drafted in 2004 by the Giants, then traded to the Chargers, signed with the Colts this week on the practice squad. And they ask, how funny would it be if our opponent was Phillip Rivers and the Colts in the playoffs? I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if Phillip Rivers is going to get one win. It's very different than like you've been on some practice squads, you've been a backup, and now you're coming in versus what's he been doing? Coaching high school football, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. My expectations.
And the Colts schedule down the road at Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, at Houston. They could very well lose out here. I'm a little conflicted about this because on one hand, it would be very fun to root for the 44-year-old to come in and do well. Like that would be fun. I would enjoy watching that happen. But on the other hand, the Colts' decision-making of deciding to push all their chips in while they had Daniel freaking Jones on a one-year contract, who was like obviously sprinkled in fairy dust for some reason the beginning of this season, and injury or not, you knew it was eventually going to wear off, and trading multiple first-round picks to go in with this team was so dumb that I'm going to be really disappointed if they get bailed out of that decision because Phillip Rivers still got it. Like I actually want the Colts to lose because that's what should happen, even though it would be really fun to watch Rivers play well.
And let me pose this question to you and our listeners. So right now, before he came back, Phillip Rivers, a lot of people felt like borderline Hall of Famer, isn't going to be first ballot. Let's say he comes back and plays well. I'm talking like, I don't know, turns the clock back 10 years and like plays really well, gets them in the playoffs. What do you think that does to his Hall of Fame chances? You think that's going to cause too much hype? Or do you think it's going to, in retrospect, be kind of like, well, it is what it is?
This is a hot take, and I fully acknowledge that it's a hot take. I don't think Phillip Rivers is anywhere near the Hall of Famer.
Ooh.
I wouldn't vote for him ever. He has stats. He has like 60-some thousand passing yards, which is top 10 all time. He was never a top 5 quarterback in the league while he was in the league at any point. There were always guys better than him. It was Brady, it was Manning, it was Favre, it was Ben, it was Eli, it was Rodgers, it was Breeze. Like he was never one of the best quarterbacks around. He just piled up stats and he never won. If you piled up stats and you win some games and you win a Super Bowl or two, fine. Just never an All-Pro. There's never a first-team All-Pro, and never won a Super Bowl. I'm not voting you in the Hall of Fame.
You heard it here first, folks. Mr. Saunders, Hall of Fame, Rivers, No, sir.
I'm not putting Matt Ryan in either, although he was a one-time All-Pro. He at least got to the Super Bowl. Maybe I would consider Matt Ryan. But if you're a quarterback and you don't win, especially in this era of football, like having the quarterback is the biggest part. If you're a quarterback and you don't win, like Eli was objectively not as good of a passer as either of those guys, and I will 100% put Eli in ahead of them.
And I will say, Matt Ryan, former MVP here in the Atlanta area. A lot of Falcon fans, unfortunately, do agree with you. It's always very interesting to see how much Falcon fans did not like Matt Ryan.
I would go Eli, Ryan, Rivers of those three. But like, I mean, of guys that aren't in, like Brady's going to get in, Breeze is going to get in, Ben is going to get in. And then like, by the time all that happens, I would put Rodgers and Stafford in ahead of him too. And then those two guys that are his equals, like way down the road, maybe, I guess, I don't know, but I don't know. Not for me. Of course, there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that are not for me, so my opinion is far from universal.
Now, I will say, while we're talking about Phillip Rivers, I love this comment by Major Headache. He says, if it's Colts versus Steelers in wild card, it'll be the first NFL Grandpa Bowl, sponsored by Ben Gay, Geritol, and Depends.
He made all that big deal about him playing Flacco and then found somebody 4 years older for him to play.
The Unk Bowl is what it was
called.
Spry,
young 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 2 years younger than his playoff opponent. It'd be fun. I'm not going to lie. It'd be fun.
Well, we'll see what happens there. And it looks like we do have a agreement here from Richard Hunt, who has two things to point out. He says 100% not Hall of Fame. He points out Phillip Rivers' career record of 134, 106, and Eli's record of 117, 117. That is
Eli's definitely not as good of a quarterback, but I would put Eli in because of the two Super Bowls and the way he won them, beating Brady in the big game. To me, if he did nothing else outside of his entire career and won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady, I'd want to put him in.
Yep, the only quarterbacks to do it was him and Mr. Foles, who has himself a statue.
Not putting Nick Foles in.
No, we're not going to put Nick Foles in. That's what you call a true Cinderella story. Hollywood 9 disagrees about Eli. He says he's sorry, but Eli is not a Hall of Famer to me. At the moments, his career stats are terrible. Rivers has the stats, but not the moments. Neither are Hall of Famers, according to him. And I have an interesting one right here. They would put Cam Newton before Rivers. Ooh, that is spicy. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we need more. We need some more like that, man. I don't know if I put Cam over Rivers. I'm not gonna lie.
Cam Newton doesn't even have 40,000 passing yards. There's no chance. I mean, and he never won. His peak was very high, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah, his highs were high, but also his lows were pretty. I mean, yeah, those were some tough times, especially after that hit by T.J. Watt. They did follow up and they said, "I mean to play right now, not the Hall." Okay.
Oh.
All right, I can get that. Well, let's see. Cam hasn't played since.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's at least 2021.
I might take Ben over Rivers, though. I bet Ben could still play.
You think
he's a year younger? Like, I'm not saying it would be great. It obviously wasn't great at the end of his career. I bet Ben could still chuck it around a little bit. The Steelers got into like a real bad situation. They need Ben to like come play one game. I bet he could do it.
Oh yeah.
I have a question about the Hall. So this is going to reset Rivers' Hall of Fame waiting period, right? Because he's got to wait 5 years.
If he's on the active roster, yes.
Yeah, if he goes on it doesn't count if he's on the practice squad. Okay.
Mm-mm.
My question is, what happens if he had already been in? What if it had been 5 years? He was in, like, then it's okay. That's why that part of it's stupid. It's like, so you wait 4 years, you have to wait 9. But if you wait 5 years, then you're fine. Like that's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, you kind of think that, but like, what if, I don't know. I kind of wondered that, like, what if like Tony Dungy or Bill Cowher decide they want to coach one day? And
coaches don't have a waiting period. You can pick a coach.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm saying they're already in though.
Yeah. But like Bob Kraft is up this year and is It's obviously still the owner of the Patriots.
Good deal. While we're talking about Hall of Famers and whatnot, we'll do these last two real quick. One, because this was one of my favorite players growing up, so I like to give him his shout out. He says it's Kordell in the Hall of Honor, and I don't think he's in the Hall of Honor yet.
He is not, and I don't know. To me, I think he doesn't check either of the boxes for most of the guys that are in there, which are guys that won Super Bowls or guys that were like really good players that didn't. Like the Steelers that are in their Hall of Honor that didn't win a Super Bowl are like Rod Woodson, Dermontti Dawson, Greg Lloyd. Like those are like real. They were like among the best players in the league. I just don't know if Kordell got there.
Yeah, shout out to Slash. I believe he was up for a head coaching gig, if I'm not mistaken. I saw recently.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
he is the. I do think he's the third best Steelers quarterback ever.
No, certainly. I mean, he got them to 2 AFC Championship games, and he even played in the Super Bowl too. But he was a rookie then. So, and we got this last question for Mr. Hunt: Joe Flacco or Phil Rivers? One for the Hall. If you were forced to pick one, which one would you pick, Mr. Saunders?
I don't know. How many yards is Flacco going to get before he's done? He could play for another 10 years. I would pick Rivers over Flacco.
Heard on that. Well, you heard it here, folks. Rivers, not a Hall of Famer, but over Flacco.
I'd pick him over
Cam
Russell
Newton.
Wilson too, who's also sort of in that realm, but nowhere near Rodgers.
No,
Rodgers is outside of Brady, Breeze. Rodgers is probably the next closest thing to a lock.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we appreciate everyone tuning in. If you heard my dogs give their signal, that is the final whistle is what we'll call it. Don't forget to come back to Steelers Now for the morning rush, the afternoon drive. And of course, every Wednesday, you can find me here. I won't be in a tie next week, but you can find us here to talk about everything Steelers coming up. And Mr. Saunders, do we have anything on tap? Any type of Steelers Now plus subscriber events coming up?
Yeah, I got my notes from the road for Baltimore coming up tomorrow. SN Plus live stream on Monday the 29th. So get signed up over there on SteelersNow.com for that.
All right, good deal. And Anthony said if I'm not wearing a tie next week, they're not watching. I'll be sure to. I'll figure it out.
If they win, I think you got to. I think you got to do it. I think you got to stick with the tie.
Maybe, and I'll be on the post game show, I believe, on Monday. So we shall see. So everyone, we appreciate you joining. You can find me at JOBY Football on X. And Mr. Saunders, where can they find you if they're a first-time listener?
A_Saunders_PGH on all the social media platforms. And you can check out Steelers Afternoon Drive and Steelers Morning Rush right here on the YouTube channel or in your audio feeds.
Excellent. Well, everyone, we appreciate your time and hope to see you guys next week. And let's see what they do out in the cold weather.